Hey you, the one who looks calm on the outside but fights wars in silence. The one who smiles during the day but lies awake at night replaying conversations, mistakes, regrets. The one whose biggest enemy isn't a person, it's your own mind. Let's be honest. You can sit in a quiet room, no danger, no threat, no one attacking you, and still feel anxious, still feel angry, still feel ashamed, still feel not enough. Why? Because the battlefield isn't out there, it's in your head. One negative thought enters, I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. They don't really respect me. And suddenly that small thought grows. It repeats. It multiplies. It becomes a voice, then a belief, then an identity. And if you don't stop it, your own mind becomes the thing that breaks you. This is where most people lose, not in public, not in front of enemies, but alone, in silence, inside their own thoughts. The ancient Stoics understood something brutal. You cannot control the world, but you can control how you interpret it. And that changes everything. Because if your thoughts are creating your suffering, then your thoughts can also destroy it. This video is not motivation, it's mental warfare. In the next 7 laws, we are going to dismantle the traps that feed your negative thinking and replace them with Stoic discipline, not comfort, clarity. If you're ready to stop being attacked by your own mind, stay with me. We're about to rewire it. Before we go into the first law, you need to understand something important. You are not defective. Your mind was never trained. Think about it. You were taught how to speak, how to read, how to calculate, how to behave in public, but no one ever taught you how to manage your thoughts. No one taught you how to respond to fear. No one taught you how to question your inner voice. No one taught you how to sit with discomfort without collapsing into it. So when negative thinking overwhelms you, you assume something is wrong with you. But what if nothing is wrong? What if your mind is simply untrained? Imagine handing someone a powerful weapon with no instruction manual. They wouldn't be weak if they misused it. They'd be untrained. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess, and most people use it accidentally. Modern life makes this worse. Constant stimulation, endless comparison, notifications, news cycles, pressure to perform, pressure to be liked, pressure to succeed instantly. Your brain never rests. It never resets. It's always reacting. And when a mind is constantly reacting, negative thinking becomes automatic, not because you're broken, because you're overstimulated. You were never taught to pause. You were never taught to separate thought from identity. You were never taught to delay emotion, so you react. And reaction becomes habit. But here's the empowering truth. Anything untrained can be trained. Discipline is learned. Emotional control is learned. Mental clarity is learned. The Stoics weren't born calm. They practiced. They observed. They corrected. They trained their minds like athletes train their bodies. And that's what you're doing now. Not fixing yourself. Training yourself. So stop labeling yourself as negative. Stop calling yourself weak. Stop assuming you're defective. You are not broken. You are untrained. And training starts now. Now we begin. Law 1. You are not your thoughts. Let's start with the most dangerous illusion. You believe every thought you have is you. That voice that says, I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. They don't respect me. You hear it, and you assume it's truth. But pause. If every thought were you, then you would change identities every few seconds. One moment confident, next moment insecure, next moment angry, next moment ashamed. That's not identity. That's mental weather. Thoughts appear automatically. You don't schedule them. You don't approve them. They just show up, and most of them are recycled noise. The mistake is not having negative thoughts. The mistake is believing them instantly. There is a difference between I failed and I am a failure. One describes an event, the other creates an identity. Stoic discipline begins here. Separate yourself from the thought. You are not the voice. You are the observer of the voice. Picture your mind like the sky. Storms pass through it. Dark clouds form. Lightning strikes. But the sky itself is untouched. You are the sky. Thoughts are just weather. When a negative thought appears, instead of saying, "I'm worthless," shift it slightly. Say, "I'm having the thought that I'm worthless." That small shift creates space, and in that space, you regain control. Now you are not drowning in the thought. You are examining it. Here's a brutal exercise. When a negative thought hits, write it down. Then interrogate it like a lawyer in court. Is this 100% true? What is the evidence? Is there another explanation? Will this matter in 5 years? Most thoughts collapse under questioning. They feel heavy, but they're hollow. Your mind is constantly offering interpretations. Not all of them deserve acceptance. You don't have to fight every thought. You don't have to silence them. You just have to stop obeying them. Because the moment you realize, "I am not my thoughts," you stop being dragged by them. And when you stop being dragged, you begin to lead. Drop this in the comments. I observe, I don't obey. Now we go deeper. Law 2, stop fighting what already exists. Most of your suffering does not come from what happened. It comes from your resistance to it. Something goes wrong. A breakup, a rejection, a mistake, a loss. And immediately your mind says, "This shouldn't have happened. This isn't fair. This wasn't supposed to go like this." And that sentence, that internal argument with reality, is where suffering multiplies. Pain is natural. Resistance is optional. The event already happened. But your mind keeps replaying it, trying to negotiate with something that is no longer negotiable. You can't undo it. You can't rewind it. You can't erase it. Yet you fight it mentally as if arguing hard enough will reverse time. That fight exhausts you. Reality does not care about your protest. It does not bend because you are upset. It does not change because you are angry. So every time you argue with what already is, you lose energy for nothing. Think of it like standing in the rain. You can scream at the sky. You can curse the clouds. You can demand sunshine. Or you can accept you're wet and decide what to do next. One path drains you. The other empowers you. Acceptance does not mean approval. It does not mean weakness. It means clarity. It means saying, "It happened, now what?" That one sentence changes everything, because instead of being stuck in why, you move to what now. Instead of being trapped in the past, you step into action. Negative thinking feeds on resistance. It says, "If only," "What if?" "I should have." But those phrases keep you locked in something that no longer exists. The Stoic approach is brutal but freeing. What happened was necessary, not because it was pleasant, but because it is real. And reality is the only place you can act. You cannot grow from the past you wish existed. You can only grow from the one that actually did. So the next time your mind says, "This shouldn't have happened," interrupt it. Say, "But it did." Then follow with, "What can I learn? What can I build? How do I respond?" That shift moves you from victim to strategist, from emotional prisoner to decision maker. Stop fighting what already exists. Use it, because the moment you stop arguing with reality, your mind gets quieter. Your focus sharpens, and your power returns. Drop this in the comments. I accept what is. I choose what's next. Now, we go even deeper. Law 3. Your first emotion is not your final truth. This is where most people lose control. They feel something and immediately assume it must be correct. Anger rises. It must be justified. Jealousy appears. It must mean something is wrong. Fear hits. There must be danger. But your first emotion is a reaction, not a verdict. Emotions are fast. Wisdom is slow. When something triggers you, your nervous system responds before your reason does. That first wave is automatic. It is biological. It is survival wiring. But survival wiring is not always accurate in modern life. Your brain reacts to a text message the same way it reacts to a threat. Someone doesn't reply for hours, and suddenly your mind says, "They're ignoring me. They don't care. I did something wrong." That's the first emotion speaking. But is it true? Most of the time, no. The first wave crashes hard. But it always passes. The mistake is acting while you're still inside the wave. Because when you act inside that surge, you send messages you regret. You say words you don't mean. You damage relationships that didn't need damage. Power is not in suppressing emotion. Power is in delaying response. When something triggers you, pause. Name it. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling insecurity. I'm feeling fear. Notice the wording, not, "This is wrong," not, "They are wrong." Just, "I'm feeling." That creates distance. Distance creates clarity, and clarity creates control. Here's a discipline practice. When a strong emotion hits, give it 10 minutes. Do nothing. No texting, no reacting, no defending. Just observe. Most emotional impulses dissolve when not fed. Another powerful tool, zoom out. Imagine yourself from above, as if you're watching your life from a distance. That embarrassing moment, that argument, that awkward interaction. From far away, it shrinks. Perspective weakens intensity. And intensity is what fuels negative thinking. Remember this: an emotion is a signal, not an order. You can feel it without obeying it. And the more you practice pausing, the more stable you become. You stop being predictable. You stop being reactive. You stop being easy to manipulate. Because when someone pushes a button and you don't explode, that's power. Drop this in the comments. I pause before I respond. Now we move into something even more dangerous than emotion: the stories you tell yourself. Law 4. The story is the real weapon. Here's the part most people never examine. It's not the event that hurts you the most. It's the story you build around it. Two people can experience the same rejection. One says, "That didn't work out." The other says, "I'm not wanted." Same event, different story. And the story determines the suffering. Your mind is constantly narrating your life. You send a message, no reply. Fact: the message wasn't answered. Story: they're avoiding me. They don't respect me. I always get ignored. Do you see what just happened? The pain didn't come from the silence, it came from the interpretation. Most negative thinking is not caused by reality. It's caused by the meaning you attach to reality. A mistake becomes, "I'm incompetent." A delay becomes, "I'll never succeed." A criticism becomes, "I'm not enough." You turn moments into identities, but facts and interpretations are not the same thing. The fact is neutral, the story is emotional, and here's the powerful shift. If you created the story, you can rewrite it. Try this exercise. Step 1. Write down what actually happened, only the raw fact. Example: my boss gave me short feedback. Step 2. Write the story your mind created. They think I'm bad at my job. I'm about to get fired. They don't value me. Step 3. Challenge it. Is this proven? What evidence do I actually have? What are 3 other possible explanations? You'll be surprised how often the story collapses. Your mind fills gaps with fear. It prefers a negative explanation over uncertainty. But just because a thought feels convincing doesn't mean it's true. You're not just the thinker. You are the editor. And an editor does not publish every draft. When your mind writes a dramatic script, you have the authority to revise it. Instead of, "This always happens to me," Try, "This is one moment I'm still learning," instead of, "I ruined everything." Try, "I made a mistake. I can correct it." The story shapes the emotion shapes the reaction shapes your life. So change the story, and you change the trajectory. Most people suffer inside narratives they never questioned. You don't have to live inside an unedited script. Drop this in the comments. I control the story. Now let's talk about something most people ignore: the environment that feeds these stories. Law 5. Your environment feeds your inner voice. Here's something uncomfortable. Your thoughts are not formed in isolation. They are shaped by what surrounds you. The people you talk to, the content you consume, the space you live in, the habits you repeat daily. All of it feeds your internal dialogue. If you are constantly around people who complain, you will start thinking in complaints. If you consume content that triggers comparison, you will start thinking in insecurity. If your environment is chaotic, your mind will reflect that chaos. Negative thinking doesn't just appear, it's reinforced. Most people try to fix their mindset while living in environments that poison it. That's like trying to heal while drinking the same toxin every day. Look at your inputs. Who do you spend the most time with? Do they speak about growth or gossip? Do they build or criticize? Your brain adapts to repetition. What it hears most often becomes familiar. What becomes familiar starts to feel true. Now look at your digital environment. Scroll through your feed. Does it inspire strength or fuel comparison? Does it teach discipline or feed outrage? Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between just scrolling and real stress. Every image, every headline, every argument you consume leaves an imprint, and then you wonder why your mind feels noisy. Even your physical space matters. A cluttered desk, a messy room, constant noise. These things increase mental friction. Order outside creates clarity inside. This is not about perfection, it's about influence. If your environment is chaotic, negative thinking becomes easier. If your environment is intentional, mental discipline becomes easier. Try this. For the next 7 days, no gossip, no doom scrolling, no content that triggers insecurity. Clean one small area of your space. Spend time with at least one person who thinks about growth. Notice what happens, not instantly, but gradually. Your mind gets quieter, not because you forced it, but because you stopped feeding it chaos. You can't eliminate negative thoughts while surrounding yourself with negativity. Protect your mental diet the way you would protect your physical health, because what you consume becomes what you think, and what you think becomes how you live. Drop this in the comments. I protect my environment. Now let's talk about something even more overlooked. Sometimes you're not negative, you're just exhausted. Law 6. You're not broken, you're exhausted. Sometimes the problem isn't your mindset, it's your energy. You think something is wrong with you because your thoughts feel darker than usual. But ask yourself, have you slept well? Have you rested? Have you been still, even for a moment? When you are physically drained, your mind becomes louder. When you are emotionally overwhelmed, your thinking becomes heavier. When you are mentally overstimulated, everything feels more intense than it actually is. Exhaustion distorts perception. A small issue feels catastrophic. A delayed message feels personal. A minor mistake feels permanent. You don't see clearly when you're depleted, and yet most people try to think their way out of negativity while running on empty. That rarely works. Sometimes you don't need a new philosophy. You need sleep. You need silence. You need distance from noise. The brain under stress searches for threats. It scans for problems. It magnifies uncertainties. That's not weakness. That's biology. If you've been overworking, overthinking, overexposing yourself to pressure, your mind will start generating more negative interpretations. Not because you're broken, because you're overloaded. There is a difference. And that difference matters. Ask yourself honestly, am I spiraling because life is collapsing, or because I haven't paused in weeks? Your nervous system cannot operate at high alert forever. At some point, it demands recovery. And if you ignore that demand, negative thinking becomes your baseline. Here's the discipline most people avoid. Rest strategically. Sleep earlier tonight. Take a short walk without your phone. Turn off notifications for 1 hour. Write down your worries, then close the notebook. You are not weak for needing rest. You are wise for recognizing it. Mental strength is not constant intensity. It's sustainable balance. Even warriors sharpen their weapons. Even disciplined minds need stillness. So before you accuse yourself of being fragile, before you label yourself anxious, broken, unstable, check your energy. You might not need to fight your thoughts. You might need to recharge, because when your body stabilizes, your mind follows. Drop this in the comments. I am restoring my energy. Now we reach the final law, the one that quietly destroys negativity at its root. Law 7, gratitude is a weapon. This one sounds simple, but it is lethal. Negative thinking survives on one thing: focus on what's missing, what you don't have, what didn't work, what went wrong, what someone else achieved, what you lost. Your mind zooms in on lack, and the more it zooms in, the smaller your world feels. That's how negativity tightens its grip. Gratitude breaks that tunnel vision. Not fake positivity, not pretending everything is perfect, but deliberately noticing what still stands. When your mind says, nothing is working, gratitude forces you to ask, is that actually true? You didn't get the opportunity you wanted, but you still have skills. You still have time. You still have breath. You still have options. Your relationship is strained, but maybe you gained clarity. Maybe you learned boundaries. Maybe you discovered strength you didn't know you had. Gratitude doesn't erase pain. It balances perspective. Most negative spirals happen because the mind forgets. It forgets past victories. It forgets resilience. It forgets survival. It forgets how many storms you've already outlived. So negativity feels absolute. But it's selective memory. Gratitude restores memory. It reminds you, you've endured before, you've adapted before, you've grown before, and you can do it again. Here's the practice. Every day, morning or night, write down 3 things, not dramatic ones, small ones: a conversation, a meal, a lesson, a moment of calm, a problem you solved. Consistency rewires perception. The brain starts scanning for stability instead of threat, for opportunity instead of absence, for strength instead of weakness. And when perception shifts, emotion follows. You cannot hold deep gratitude and intense bitterness at the same time. One dissolves the other. That's why gratitude is not soft. It's strategic. It trains your mind to anchor. Anchors keep you from drowning. When negativity tries to pull you under, gratitude stabilizes you. Not because life is perfect, but because your perspective is disciplined. Drop this in the comments. I choose gratitude over negativity. And now understand something important. If you've stayed until this point, you've already begun the shift. If you made it this far, understand something. You're not weak. You're aware. And awareness is the first strike against negative thinking. Let's compress this. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer. You don't fight reality. You adapt to it. Your first emotion is not your final decision. The story can be rewritten. Your environment shapes your inner voice. Exhaustion is not failure. It's a signal. Gratitude is your anchor. This is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming disciplined. The Stoics were not superhuman. They trained daily, quietly, intentionally. They understood something most people avoid. The mind will drift toward chaos unless you guide it. Negative thinking will return if you stop practicing. This is not a one-time fix. It's a daily sharpening. Some days you will catch the thought immediately. Some days it will take longer. That's not failure, that's training. You don't eliminate negative thoughts forever. You reduce their authority. And over time, something shifts. You stop identifying with every fear. You stop reacting to every trigger. You stop believing every internal accusation. You become steadier, calmer, harder to disturb. Not because life gets easier, but because your mind gets stronger. If this helped you, don't just like the video, apply it. Comment which law hit you hardest. Share it with someone who fights silent battles. And subscribe if you're serious about building a disciplined mind. We're not building hype here, we're building control. Final affirmation, drop it in the comments. My mind is my weapon. Train it, guard it, strengthen it, and no external chaos will ever own you again.